Hello and welcome to the Sports Show with Bob Spino, where the 2021 college football season, perhaps the greatest time of year outside of the March Madness tournament, is upon us. Now, Bob, we have stoked some flames down in Baton Rouge. Our little prediction that UCLA could actually possibly win the game against LSU has been met with some astounding responses. What say you, Bob?
I think that good thing we're not down there. They'd probably burn us at the stake. They were pretty mad, needless to say. But I mean, they came up with a lot of stuff. Well, they're better. They had the better recruiting, and they did have a better recruiting class. And the last couple of years we weren't very good, but we have a great defense now, and we have a great running backs, and our running backs are very high on the running. I mean, they say they're one of those just keep rumbling and just like a stampede, and no one can stop us. They're playing really well, and if they can control the game on the ground, they can win this game. And it is in Pasadena, and it's only 3 points, everybody. Some people that called in or wrote in, I should say, were very cool. Some were not. Some got a little mean, and I was just trying to smooth it over. Our sports show, though, was kind of attacking back a little bit. We weren't trying to be delusional, and I'm not overlooking LSU. But the truth is, you're 5-5. The truth is, a lot of the guys that you got coming back on D are you should lose them somewhere. Because last year they were terrible. You have 35 points a game. I'll tell you why you were 5-5. I'm gonna be honest with you. Your offense won 5 games, and your defense lost the other 5. Because when you give up that many points, and by the way, UCLA is not Hawaii. They're not a little school. Yeah, okay, they're not playing Bama, but with all due respect, you're not Bama either. Okay, just because you're in that conference don't mean you're all elite. There are some bad teams and good conferences everywhere, including the pros. You are what you are. So, everybody was like, and it's amazing because they were attacking whenever I would say something about the past. You can't bring up the past. But then they were like, oh, look at 2019. Oh, who did we lose? Well, that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. So, you can't play both sides of the fence when it's good for you. They're not that good. We do have a chance to beat them. It's going to be hard. They're good enough to give us a hard time to beat us. But I do think we have a good chance. And I like our team. I am concerned with our quarterback. Somebody mentioned that. But he only has to do enough on this team because the rest of the team, including the D, who's taking pride in their D this year and swarming like the old Chicago Bears of the past. For somebody, and by the way, some guy actually said something, I'm a UCLA historian and know nothing else. As the old saying goes, I've forgotten more stuff than you'll ever know. I'm only saying it to the one guy. Everybody else, we still love you here. But it was pretty rude, really.
Well, the thing is, Bob, I personally have no issue with anyone challenging our prediction.
Right.
We're picking an underdog to upset LSU. So they are the favorite and they're expected to win. That's fine. You want to criticize the pick all you want. Go for it. Right. You start calling us nut jobs, delusional, wing nuts, dummies, I'm drunk, I'm on steroids, etc. No, you're going to get called out, and we're going to throw it back in your face. You're not going to step all over us on our show, on our channel. It's not happening. And frankly, if it continues, if it's just going to be a wave of more insults directly made at Bob and I'm shutting down the comments. I'm not going to tolerate that. I want to keep the banter open. It's fun. It's fun to challenge each other. And there's a lot of good points out there. It's not like everyone that was supporting LSU was just throwing garbage out there. Hey, they've made a great point. They've had top 10, top 5 recruiting classes all these years.
And they do again this year. I mean, it's right there.
But the fact remains that these brand new recruits coming in this year are unlikely to do a lot of contributing right away. I mean, they're freshmen. Okay, yes, they're 5 stars. They were the best, but they're still freshmen, and it takes time. They also seem to really hammer the fact that there's a new coaching staff under the wings of Ed Ogeron. Okay, they probably will make a difference. They've never played a game yet with these kids.
Well, the difference they can make is for the good and or the bad, because we don't know. It's a question mark. Are they going to be better? Maybe. Are they going to be worse? Maybe. But don't go around and immediately assume we fixed our problem when you're giving up 35 points a game. You didn't fix your problem. I know Stingley's back. And by the way, I think his dad in the NFL? Was that the guy that got crippled with New England Patriots? And I remember that when that happened, it was a cheap shot by the Oakland Raiders. It was a terrible thing. And I realized he's a good defensive back. but the rest of your defensive backs and D is not very good. You had so many holes. You could have been the yellow in your uniform could have been for Swiss cheese for what it was worth. Could have represented that. And I got a question. Everybody out there said Pasadena's not a nice stadium. You guys play in a place called the Swamp. We play the Rose Bowl there.
Be careful, Bob. Be careful. They don't play in the Swamp. It's Death Valley.
Death
Valley's pretty
Swamp.
awesome. Death Valley's pretty awesome. I'm not going to disrespect Death Valley. It's a prime college football venue, and there's nothing like when the sunset goes there and you got the lights going up. I would not put down LSU's stadium at all.
Well, I wasn't putting it down. They were attacking Pasadena. I mean, you guys, but they play down there. And,
it's the Rose Bowl.
Right.
Nothing else needs to be said. It's one of the greatest college football venues of all time.
Right. Hey, Rob, I got a question. Do you think that they're alligators? They get them from they get them from Florida. They just import them because they don't got their own down there.
Well, they got plenty, Bob. Believe me. That's pretty much my diet when I go to the area because I love Cajun food, but in particular gator. I just eat gator the whole time I'm visiting. So again, no one is writing off LSU here, folks. Okay, no. We might actually go down LSU schedules just for fun and make some picks and see. We'll predict how well LSU will do. I'm pretty confident you would agree with me, Bob, that we both believe LSU is going to win more than 5 games this year, right?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. So this kind of assumption of dismissiveness of the LSU program based upon our pick, it's unwarranted. But folks, chime in. We love the interaction's great. Lay off the insults. That's not what this show's about.
Okay. The other thing, will they win 5 games? More than 5 games? Yes. But some of these guys on here think they're better than Bama. That's fun. Because they're not.
Oh, I'm telling you right now, they're not taking down Bama. It's not happening this year. Not happening. No way. We'll put that one to bed, and you can all come in and say how you're going to roll, whatever. I mean, you're in the minority of believing that that's going to happen. There's a lot more people that believe UCLA can upset LSU than believe LSU is going to upset Alabama. A lot more.
Right. And they make it like they're. Look, somebody talked about Ole Miss and what about Ole Miss? And I made a joke with it and I just said, what's an Ole Miss? But the truth is Ole Miss was 4-5 last year. They weren't that good. And you give up 48 points against them, even though you had to pull the game out. So, I mean, can you score? Yeah. But can you give up a lot of points? You bet. I mean, you guys are kind of like, you know what they're like, Rob? They're like the Miami Dolphins in the 80s, like with Marino. Score 45, give up 50, lose the game. They had no day.
Well, I mean, I expect their defense to improve. I don't know how drastically, but yeah,
right.
they were pretty poor last year. And it's not outlandish to pick an underdog to upset a team at home when it's only a 3-point spread. And the team that's coming in has not played a game this season. It's not some outlandish, insane thing to suggest. The spread is actually going down, Bob. I think you said it went another half point down.
Yeah, it was 3.5. Now it's down to 3. If I'm LSU, I'd be concerned about that a little bit. If th're so great, then why wouldn't you be at least 10 up?
And look at it. Some of these comments coming in, they're acting like we're picking we're picking a 30-point underdog here. Okay? That's not the case. It's a 3-point spread. This is nothing crazy. So lay off the crazy comments or your comments getting removed. And if it keeps up, you'll get reported. That's not what this show's about. We like to build people up. Banter is fun, but insulting and disrespect like that, no, get out of here with it. Just go. Don't even bother commenting. Just go. So, Bob, do you want to take a moment and go down LSU's schedule before we go into the opening weekend at all?
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's one more thing. You said it was Death Valley, right?
Death Valley.
But
yes.
To me, but Death Valley's in a desert, okay? And everything down there is swamp. So maybe the whole Southeast is one big happy swamp. So maybe that's why I got a little mixed up there. But that just goes to show you.
Bob, you're. I got to correct you there. I believe, and I didn't look this up. You remember, it's Louisiana, the
Yes.
culture there, Death Valley. They kind of honor the dead to a degree that you kind of don't see around. And a cats symbolize death in a lot of ways. So believe that's the basis of it. I don't think it's based on a sort of desert thing. I mean, there's a ton of water in Louisiana. I think
that's right.
They honor the dead. They're very spiritual in that sense. It's a part of the culture. I am confident that's the reason and where it comes from. But LSU fans, correct me if I'm wrong on that one, because I very well could be.
Right. But to me, I mean, it's all. I mean, all I know is the guy shouldn't have ripped on Pasadena. It's a great stadium. And the game is not. If the game was down there, I would come out and be, like, we're going to win. If you remember what I said in the beginning, this is a prime game to get the upset because it's early in the season, you're home. And the lesser teams, and since everybody thinks UCLA is a lesser team, that's where the upsets come. Because you're just like, they don't know that they're bad yet. Apparently, but they don't. So they're going to play over their head, and it's going to be really hard to beat them. That's how a lot of upsets happen. So
they're college kids. They're kids. I mean,
right.
You see upsets all the time, much larger spreads than 3.
Yeah, right.
So that being said, Bob, do you want to take a meander over to LSU schedule and we'll make our prediction on what their season is going to look like?
Yeah.
All right. So obviously we're going to assume we're correct, and UCLA upsets LSU.
Okay.
Next week, they got McNeese State at home.
Win.
Gee, I wonder what's going to happen there. That's going to be a W for LSU, 1-1. Then they have Central Michigan at home.
2-1.
Yeah, no question about that. 2-0, directional Michigan.
Or 2-1, if we get the first one.
2-1.
Right.
LSU at Mississippi State. Mike Leach.
Ooh, always tougher on the road. Probably LSU.
I'm not sold on Mike Leach.
No, I'm not either.
In the SEC. Now, you would know this, Bob. How many conference titles did Mike Leach win in the Pac-12?
I don't know. None.
You don't see
None.
Washington State at the top of the conference every year.
No. The thing about Washington State, though, and I know what you're talking. He's a great offensive coordinator. He's great with quarterbacks. They've had a lot of great quarterbacks come out of that school. So if the defense don't get better with that, they can give up a ton of points to them. Now, whether they beat them or not, I don't know. But, that could be a little tougher than you think.
It's definitely not a gimme, that game. I see that as a competitive game. And if you let Mississippi State put up points after points after points, you could be in trouble. But again, I don't think Mike Leach is going to make it in the SEC. And by then there'll be a couple games. I think LSU will be prepared and they will pull that game out.
They were only 3-7 last year, so I think LSU will win. So I said 3-1 in the beginning.
So we're sitting at 3-1. Mm-hmm. Then we have, let's see here, we have Auburn at LSU after that. I think LSU gets it because they got the home field advantage.
It's an LSU, they'll win.
They should win. Auburn hasn't been a superpower for a while. I think.
Well, I'll tell you what, Rob. They were 6-4 last year. So.
Okay, so they did have a better record.
Yeah, they weren't too bad. Yeah, but probably I would think because the game's in LSU, I'll give it to LSU.
Okay, so then you have LSU to be a cakewalk in the SEC. That's not the case anymore.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said. What team are they playing?
I said the next game is LSU at Kentucky, and I said that.
Okay.
Kentucky used to be a cakewalk in the SEC. That's not the case anymore.
No, it's not the case anymore. I mean, they're pretty decent, but they were 4-6 last year. I really don't think, even if it's in Kentucky, LSU will find a way to win. They do have a good offense, so I'm probably going with them. So what do we have so far? They only have one loss.
They only have one loss so far, guys. Let's see. We're sitting at our prediction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. So you're 5-1. So according to our prediction, you've already matched your wins of last year halfway through the season.
Right.
Okay. Next we have Florida goes to LSU.
Florida won the East last year.
They're going to want revenge. They're going to want revenge big time.
Yeah. It's hard to go.
It's hard to go. LSU.
It's hard to go against LSU at home.
It disgusts me like no other. But remember, LSU is very dominant at home. They had that very long streak that I was hoping Syracuse was going to end 4 years ago. They didn't get it done, and then Troy came in and did it. Ugh, it's gross. But LSU is it's very hard to win there. It's tough for me to go against them at home, but
I'm leaning towards them.
Did they lose? Did Florida lose that quarterback? Did Florida lose that quarterback? Trask?
I don't know. I'm leaning towards LSU on that game though, but
it's tough to go against them at home.
It won't be easy, but yeah.
Then they have. I guess. Well, you know what? We'll give the nod to LSU at home.
Right.
LSU at Mississippi.
Well,
that was now. What was the score of that game last year? You know, we had someone really talk up Ole Miss in the comments. I don't know. You know, they had a losing record.
Right. No, it was 53-40. It was 53-48. That was the final. Yeah.
And where was the game played? I believe it was
in
at LSU. So now it's on. It was a 5-point game last year. Ole Miss was 4-5, and they are playing at LSU this season. That's a tough pick.
It's at LSU.
No. I'm sorry. It's at Mississippi State.
Okay. Mississippi, you mean?
I'm sorry. Ole Miss. Correction. Ole Miss. LSU on October 23rd is playing on the road at Ole Miss.
Well, you know, you can't win every single week. Maybe the upset comes with Ole Miss.
They might. I'm on board with that, Bob. Ole Miss is going to circle that the last game of the year, close. That's going to be tough. And again, SEC on the road, no pushover, similar records. I'll go with you, Bob. I'll ride that train.
Now they don't play Bama this year.
Oh, they do. We're getting there.
Okay.
So what are we sitting at? 6-2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, 6-2 as it stands. The horror. One can dream that their team goes 6-2. That's where I'm at. Anyways, then you have LSU at Alabama. I think we know what's going to happen there.
Bama's going to destroy them.
Sorry, guys, you're going to lose. You're not going to win that game. No, it's okay. It's Alabama. Everyone loses, right?
And I got to tell you, there's a couple of easy ones on that schedule. There are cupcakes on that schedule, so that's going to help them a little bit too.
Yeah, no, they got plenty of home games there, and definitely against teams that they can win against. Yeah. So then you got so that's 6-3. So we're calling a 2-game skid. There, 6-3, losing on the road to Ole Miss and then on the road to Alabama. It's tough. It's hard to win on the road, especially in the SEC. Arkansas at LSU. After, I'm going with LSU, Bob.
Me too. Arkansas was only 3-7. They were, and it's in LSU.
They're going to win that game.
Yep.
So then they're 7-3, and then you have LA Monroe at LSU. I think we understand where that was probably going to go.
8-3.
8-3. So you're sitting at 8-3. Final game of the year. Jimbo Fisher, Texas A&M at LSU. Now, who knows what the injury story is going to be? You know, I like Jimbo Fisher, but I still don't consider him in the top tier. You know, at the pinnacle, just below of the coaches. Yes, he won a title, and he was outstanding with Florida State. But how many years has Jimbo been there now? Is this his 3rd year, 4th year?
Something like that.
I mean, he's tough. It's tough. This is tough for me. A&M. Because so many things are going to happen. Well, LSU's playing at home.
A&M beat them last year, I believe, 20-7 or something like that. And that game was in A&M. I think that LSU will get them because it's home, right? It's their home. So, yeah.
So your regular season record for LSU prediction wise is 9-3.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a biased pick. I always kind of like Texas A&M, the core, the 12th man, even though I generally despise Texas teams. You know what? I saw enough delusional nut job. You're gonna lose the last game at home, LSU. You're gonna lose Texas A&M, 12th man Aggies, Jimbo.
Wow. So you're thinking
8-4, boys. 8-4. Yep, I heard enough. got
All
enough
right.
slander, enough commentary for the peanut gallery. You guys are going 8-4. That's my prediction, Bob. You go 9-3, huh?
Yeah, well, you know what? But 9-3 isn't. Oh, look, LSU. This is the deal. 9-3 is not good enough for the playoff contention. It's not. So you're going to have a nice year, get your nice little sugar bowl, and go home because.
Bob, we got some comments already.
Hmm.
Here we go. Let's go. But hey, finish your thoughts while I check it out. I gotta see what's going on. I missed it.
I just don't. I mean, you'll be say you're 9-3. Okay, that's not good enough for the national title, so you ain't winning. And you'll get your sugar bowl, go home, and keep telling everybody you're Alabama.
Yeah, you're not winning the title. You're definitely not winning.
No,
you're not winning the
winning
national title. You let that one go by the wayside. It's not happening. Steve
Right.
Bergeron, he was definitely a smack talker. Here he's pumping his chest. Let's find out Saturday. We will, won't we? We'll see. We got Will Fisher, LSU over UCLA 42-17. What does the S stand for, Will Fisher? I mean, you think they're going to win by, what is that, 25 when it's a 3-point spread?
Well,
I don't know. I mean, okay. Interesting prediction.
Well, you give up too many points to win by that many points. That has to change. If that doesn't change, that's not happening. What you just said. You really need to clamp down on that defense. They're not that good. I mean,
I think Steve Bergeron called you a dummy, Bob. I think. I don't know. I haven't checked the comments in a little bit. There's probably a slew of more nonsense out there, but yeah, no. Steven is fired up for his Tigers, assuming he's an LSU fan.
Well, okay. First of all, I'm no dummy. Okay. Second of all, LSU, and I assume you're a fan, could win, and it still doesn't make me a dummy. Okay. But for you to think they're going to blow us out 42-17, that's pretty dumb.
Well, that wasn't Steve Burt. That was a different commenter. Will Fisher says LSU over UCLA 42-17. So that's a different guy. Steven's just saying LSU is going to win.
Okay. But like I said, no matter who said it, the bottom line is that they're not going to blow them out because how can you blow anybody out without a defense? You can't. Yeah, and our offense was good. Like, you don't get it. Like, our offense didn't play nobody last year. We played everybody in the conference. We're still the Pac-12. We're not a nothing conference, a small. We're not. Are we the SEC? No. But you're not the best team in the SEC either. How about that? That's true. You know, it's amazing because the one thing, and that's especially in every.
Steve Bergeron just said LSU Tigers is ready for UCLA. Okay, so who's the dummy here? LSU Tigers is ready for UCLA. Okay, well, you better be, because if not, you're going to get trounced because UCLA can score. You better be ready. And I got to tell you, a lot of the guys you're bringing back on defense, buddy, you ought to lose them because everybody was like, oh, well, who did we lose? I'll tell you who you lost. You lost the 2019 team. That's what I was talking about. Do you still get a good recruiting class this year? Yeah, you did. But do you still have lousy players on your team from last year you're bringing back? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. And you know what? Vegas thinks it too. That's why it's only 3 points. You know what? You're sitting there going, well, you're UCLA. Oh, and what are you, LSU? Isn't that what you're doing? No, see, you got to understand this. I'll give you my honest opinion no matter what happens. See, there's an old saint that said this once. I'm not here to debate with you. I'm here to teach you. I'm here to instruct you. You're wrong. I'm just here to re-instruct you. There's no debate. No debate. The bottom line is your team wasn't all that on defense, and you're bringing them back. So he just asked Bob if did we see LSU Tigers play before? I have many times.
Yeah, I have.
I saw 2 LSU games in person. They played against Syracuse.
Right, you were there, Ron. Of course, I always did.
It was great.
I also know Saban was your coach, and he helped you win one of them. Of course, I did. I watched you lose to Saban a lot. You bet. You don't understand. I just didn't pick up sports yesterday. I've been doing this since I was a little kid. I worked at ESPN, Junior. I'm sorry, but that's true. And I know sports really well, and I know the players really well. I know a lot of players. So I do know what's going on. I'm not just a UCLA historian. I'm a sports historian. I'm here to teach, not to debate. And if you don't believe that, watch our other shows and tell us to watch it, because we're getting big sports stars on of today and the past who happen to agree with me. So you might want to think about that for a couple of minutes. You know what? It's just like, it makes me laugh because, and weirdly enough, I'm going to talk about this running back that you guys had that went to Kansas City. Kansas City Facebook page, and I like the Chiefs, was really mad at me when I kept saying, we're going to draft a running back. And everybody was like, no, we're not. We need the D. We had just won the Super Bowl with a lousy D, but we won it. And I go, no, we need a running back too, and we're getting him in the first round. We took your guy. Okay? And these are the same people that attacked me, and I told them within 2 years Mahomes was going to win the title. When we first drafted him, he won his first game. People were screaming at me. That doesn't mean nothing. What does that mean? I go, just stick around. We're going to win it all. I wanted this guy from the beginning. I worked with people at ESPN that thought he was a quarterback from high school, and that's all he'd ever be. I knew better. He was the anti-Alex Smith because he actually could throw the ball and throw it well. And linebackers and defensive players were afraid of him before they ever played him. How about that? Before they ever played him. So you know what? No. Your running back went there, and we won it all. Okay, that's what happened. And is your running back all that good? I still would have took somebody else as a running back, but he's pretty good. But the thing is, people got on my case so much on Kansas City Facebook that, and one kid, God forbid, when Kansas City took the running back from LSU, Kansas City Chiefs fans lost their minds. Like, what the heck is he doing? And I go, here's one thing. You can yell at me all you want, but there's one person on earth that agrees with me that we needed a running back. You know who that is? Andy Reid, because that's why he took the running back from LSU. And then everybody shuts up. See, they'll attack me, but they ain't going to attack Andy Reid. They just ain't, because he knows better. He's coaching, But I was on board. I totally agreed with the move. I thought we needed a running back, and we got one. We got yours. And he's pretty good. Not super great, but he's pretty good. And I suspect that we're going to win with him this year, as long as we stay healthy, if the Chiefs stay healthy. Brady can't play a home game this time, but look, I love Tom. That's the other reason he used to get mad at me. I would tell him, Kansas City fans, that Tom was great. And he is great. And all this crap about, whoa, it's a system. Yeah. With all due respect to Belichick, and he's great too. 20 years Brady was there. People moved in and out. He was the only consistent, and they won it. Where was New England last year? They didn't make the playoffs. Where was Brady last year, winning another title? He was the player.
So we got some more comments, Bob. It looks like a SEC rival fan has joined the conversation from the Florida Gators. He says UCLA gets the win, and all you LSU fans will go home crying. # Go Gators.
Let's send him some fresh alligators to eat tonight. Thank you for that. And by the way, I've got a lot of SEC. You don't even know, Rob. I'm talking to a lot of SEC people that are not LSU that really do want us to win. They don't want LSU to win. So, they're on our side. Thank you for that. Thank you.
And then Steve Bergeron asked, do you know Eddie Lacy?
Yes, I know Eddie Lacy. What about him?
Well, we'll find out once as he continues with the chat. But anyways, kind of in closing with the whole LSU thing, let it be known that you're LSU. You're one of the greatest programs in the history of football all time. You tend to usually be in contention more often than not. There's no experience like going to Death Valley, especially as a visitor. If you're a college football fan of any team, and your team gets to go play LSU, you make that trip. You make it happen. I don't care. Just do it. Just go. You will experience nothing like it, especially in the Northeast. It's no comparison. They'll call you out, bunch of tiger bait walking around, tiger bait, screaming at you, and then they'll hail you in and shove bourbon down your throat and the best barbecue you ever had in your life. Okay?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Go to LSU. You're going to be fine. You're going to be all right. But hopefully you lose on Saturday, so you don't all just pour into the comments and just tear us apart. But hey, if we get it wrong, we'll take it. We'll take it like champs, and we'll move on. Anything else you want to say about LSU? Oh, by the way, folks, and you're saying, oh, did you ever see LSU? I saw them twice in person. I usually watch them on TV. They're They're a big team. You catch a game when they're on. Sure. I saw Leonard Fournette break the Carrier Dome record in person, sadly.
Right. All right. Great runner, by the way. He was a great runner.
I personally have a tremendous amount of respect for the LSU program.
Right.
That being said, I hope you lose Saturday, and I hope you go 8-4. So my prediction is accurate. So Steve Bergeron also said, I saw Eddie Lacy play football when they played St. Amand Gators versus Dutchtown.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, you're going way back.
No.
Way back. Nice.
Right. He was a running back. And he played with Green Bay and then in 2017 with Seattle. And he went to Alabama. So yeah, he was a good player. Real good player. That's awesome, though. I love it. That's great.
So yeah, Bob. So I mean, here we are. I mean, again, I waver. Sometimes it's my favorite time of year. Sometimes it's my second favorite time of year.
Right.
When March comes, I'll probably be like, oh, this is my favorite time of year. That being said, we got a lot of games going. Do you want to kind of peruse over some of the bigger matchups over the coming weekend?
Sure.
Let's roll in the G5. So first matchup I'm looking at is Boise State at UCF. I don't know the spreads. I think we should probably just make a prediction. And
well, UCF usually is really pretty darn good, and they're home. So I'm leaning towards. I don't know. I really don't know what Boise State has. So you know what? In doubt, you go with the home team. So yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Josh Heupel.
Right.
He's doing well. I mean, it's not like they're racking up losses. I just don't think he can get them to that pinnacle point when they went undefeated, and they should have had a playoff spot. I don't care what anyone says.
Right.
I mean,
right.
That was nonsense. But at home, I think UCF. It's gonna, beginning of season, Florida, Orlando. I think UCF wins.
Yeah, me too. Boise is a little bit different on the road than they are. You know what, two guys?
Yeah, because they can't hide in the blue camouflage on the road.
Yeah, right. The home team means so much. And, people will come up to me and go, oh, I know that. No, you don't. And here's why. Because you'll say that, and then you'll turn around and go, well, they're both playing on the same field. Yeah, but it's not your field. It's not your crowd. It's not, all the ins and outs on the field that you're playing on. They call it home field advantage for a reason. The home team wins more times than not in every sport, especially in the NBA. And it always has, even since I was a little kid. I remember worked in the NBA. So I can tell you that for a fact. But people totally overlook it. And ESPN overlooks it. I'm taking a shot at them now because they're saying, well, this could happen. Oh, you know what's amazing? Don't argue about 30 points that don't make sense. Then at the end, they'll make their pick. And that's the pick you would have made anyway. You just didn't all that dumb stuff that come out. Just say it like it is. Just go, they're home. They're good. They're better. They're the upset. They're ripe for an upset. Just tell it straight. That team's not as good on the road. You don't need to get, this matchup and that, because you ever notice they do this? Like if the two teams, like in the NFL, if the two teams played early in the year and then they play later, they'll do a whole hour show sitting there going, well, that matchup again is back and blah, blah, blah. And this is going to happen and he's going to stop. And then some guy comes out of nowhere and the next game becomes the big star for the game. And that's something they never even thought of or even mentioned. Because you know what? You can't break down like that one to the next because it's really about simple things. It's really about playing on the road. And that's another thing. If the first game was at the one team's home, but they got to go on the road the next time, and they look totally different in the next game. Why? Mostly because the game was on the road, not because of the matchups or anything else. Let me tell you what great elite players do, especially quarterbacks. They win on the road. That's what makes you elite. You can win anywhere. The home team quarterbacks, they just win at home. They're pretty good, but not great. When they go on the road, they'll lose. And that's what I have an issue with. Boy, we're going to get letters from the Buffalo Bills because I love Buff. Problem with Josh Allen with that. Total problem. Because so far he hasn't beaten anybody tough on the road. He beats them at home. And he fumbles too much, and he still overthrows receivers from time to time. They're working with the mechanics, which I love. He's got a lot of talent. He's not better than Mahomes. And I'll tell you, I think he's better than Baker, but I think overall Cleveland's going to be the second best team in the AFC. A close second, with Buffalo. They're almost tied. But Cleveland, I think, is meaner and tougher than Buffalo. But I know the Bills are stacked, and they had a really good recruiting draft. And Rousseau's really good. They drafted a couple defensive ends that are really good. I read that the other day. They're actually cutting good players to get better ones because the draft was that good for them. The truth is, it's still about Allen. They can draft all they want. He's got to stop overthrowing people. He's got to stop running so much and fumbling when he does. And he's got to get tough on the road. He's just not tough on the road.
He's got to play better in the playoffs, too.
Right, that's what I mean. And
his playoff performances have been pretty pedestrian to subpar.
That's right. And every one of them came on the road. The one in Kansas City, the one in Tennessee the year before that. When Tennessee took him out in the first round, elite quarterbacks win on the road, Rob. Brady can win anywhere. He can win in your living room. Just let him in the door, he'll win. I mean, it's that simple. That's what makes him great. And nobody talks about that. They just go, well, the stats. Well, stats stink. And if you don't mind me saying, since it's my show, they suck. Because for every 10 stats, keep 2 and chuck 8. I've always believed that. Now these 21-year-old genius analytics people keep 8. I heard one guy say keep 8 and chuck 2. How about we chuck the 8 and you? Because you're now smarter than the analytics you're coming up with. How about that? Keep 2, get rid of 8. Because if you get too many analytics, you get too confused. You know what? There's an old saying. If you open up, everybody's like, an open mind's important. No, it's not. It's only important until you know the truth. Once you know the truth, you stop and you close it. Why? You don't need anything else. You don't need no more proof. You know what's right. That's right. Or as somebody once said, if you open your mind too much, it may fall out of your head.
Oh, that's an all-time classic, Bob.
Yeah,
for the win. For the win.
Right. I mean, you got to know when to stop it. You got to know, okay, that's good. But this is more important. Baseball does the same thing. The managers, I could strangle them because they're over-managing. Stop it. You're supposed to steer the boat, not yank the boat. You'll sink, you dummy. And you sink often. I'm telling you, there should be coaches and managers' losses. That should be a stat. That should be an analytics stat. Because people are getting so confused with the stats. Now, they don't even realize that the guy that's playing is playing terrible. They're not smart enough to take him out of the game now, no matter what the sport. It's a joke. You know what? Well, it's the new, and you know what makes me laugh? This is when stupid people reason stupidly. This is what you come up with. Well, it's the new way. It's the wrong way. Stop it. It's the wrong way. Okay, it's new. Big deal. That's not important. Wrong and right are important. New is not. You're doing something in error. It's just like, you know what's the old saying? You keep doing something, you keep wondering why the results are the same. Keep doing the same thing over and over because you're doing.
What's the definition of insanity? It's not picking a 3-point underdog at home to upset the team coming in playing the first game of its season at 5-5. It's what Bob just said.
That's right. And look, these LSU fans, like they're fans, and that's great, and you should be, but you're not seeing the whole picture. I'm here to teach you the whole picture. ESPN don't teach you the whole picture. Because most of these kids are 10 years old that are on the shows now and don't know Shinola. They don't. I just blacked myself out there. But you know,
success.
Yes. But they don't. And they make it like they're smart. And they think they are. They're not. They haven't been around long enough. They haven't seen things. So they don't know. You can say whatever you want about, well, what does he know? Well, you know what? You don't know what I know because this show's new. Rob, when we started this show, and my other friend, they even finally told me to go, Bob, you worked at ESPN, you've done a lot. It's about time the world knows what you've done and what you know. And I'm like, for years, I never wanted to do it. But now I'm like, you know what? I can't let them stay in stupidity forever. I better do it. You know what I'm saying? And that's really it. That's really it.
The proof's in the pudding, folks. If the only video you saw was that second to last video we put up, where for like, I don't know, did we even go 2 minutes talking about the LSU game? It was literally a minute. We mentioned our pick, and then we went into other topics. Go through the video page. Check out some of the guests we've had.
We've had great guests. We've had
Hall of Famers, multiple Hall of Famers.
And we have Michael Jordan and Shaq coming on. Oh, we have Shaq coming on LSU, just to let you know.
Yeah, LSU.
But by the way, my first interview, I know I don't know LSU very good, but some guy named Dale Brown came. I think he was pretty good. Hey, LSU fans, do you know who he is? I just thought I'd ask. You know what I'm saying? He came on my show. It didn't come out good because he didn't want to do it through Zoom because he's old. He didn't know how to do it. So we did it over Skype, and we had to it was a two-hour show. And Rob said to me after the show, I go, Rob, you didn't ask him a lot of questions. He goes, well, you knew him, you were friends. I go, I knew him 5 minutes before you did. And he goes, you pulled that kind of an interview? I go, yeah, because it's simple. You just talk to people. He called my brother, who he's friends with. You know what he said to him? He goes, that was the greatest interview I was ever on. He goes, how old's your brother? We're not going to tell you how old I am. But he goes, you're kidding. He goes, no, he went to broadcasting school. He should have done it years ago. And Del Brown goes, that was the greatest interview I ever had. He let me say whatever I wanted. On the show, he talked about Mother Teresa. Did he not, Rob?
He did, and you both covered a ton of ground, and it was an extremely fluid interview. And if there was any possible way to recover that, it would be up on the page in a second. But that being said, we will get Dale Brown again.
We are getting Dale Brown again. I email him all the time. I know I'm UCLA and stupid, but he's nice enough to talk to me once in a while. And he's going to bring Shaq on the next time. Stick around, LSU, because we got a treat for you. We're your friends here. I mean, you can call me as dumb as you want, but this is all in fun. It's all picking. I'm pretty controversial as a person anyway. And to me, this is nothing. This is sports. So, if I'm saying your team's not very good, you shouldn't get that mad about it. Are we going to win on Saturday? I hope so. But who knows? I mean, you guys are good. And technically, you should win. You technically better. But you know what I learned? I'm going to tell you what I learned. See, I know I'm not anything kind of smart, but like in 1969, the Mets won the World Series. And I was a Met fan at 8 years old. And the Baltimore Orioles were God's team. I learned so much from that team. They were the best team on the planet. They won 109 games, not just that year, the next two after that. But they only won one of those three World Series they were in. It wasn't the Met one. The Mets did win 100 games, and it was a miracle because the 7 years previous, they lost 120 every single year. They were disgustingly bad. Lovable, but disgustingly bad. And when you're a little kid, you love them, and I did. But I learned something then that I've carried with me. The best team don't always win. Because even though the Mets were great, I'm not some kind of dumb Met fan because you all think that I'm a dumb UCLA fan that's, has these rose-colored glasses on. I knew from day one that they weren't the best team. Did they have a great year? Yep. Was Tom Seaver the best of his age? Yep. The Mets were world beaters on the days he pitched. But even he only won one time in those playoffs against the Orioles. It was Jerry Koosman that did all the winning. Jerry, who just had his number retired last week. Jerry, by the way, never lost a playoff or World Series game with the Mets. I just thought I'd let you know. So thank you for that, Jerry. We love you. They were not the best team. But did they win? You bet they did. Was it wild? You bet. Why do you think they call it Miracle Mets? Because it was a miracle. But miracles happen. The best team does not always win. So you can take your number one draft picks, and by the way, your blue chippers, and by the way, a lot of them don't pan out either. Just like NBA drafts don't pan out. Or any draft. These kids, that's another thing we're going to teach someday, Rob. How these young kids, we got the highest draft pick. How about looking at the talent once or twice and judging for yourself, and don't worry about these scouts. And a lot of them, I can't believe they have their job. How they get them is upside. You know what upside means? It means you haven't arrived yet. You're not that good. I'm not really sure if there's going to be an upside. This is our hope. Well, if you're hoping, then you're not sure. Because hope is like faith. It's blind. It's blind. You're hoping against hope. You don't know. You could be right. You could be wrong. But you know what? There are certain can't misses, and I can see them in a minute. I know he's going to be great right off the bat. I knew Pat Mahomes was going to be great. The guy I work with thought he was going to be a high school quarterback. You think about that for a while. That's all he was ever going to be. That Kansas City blew the pick. I knew better because I could look at a guy once and go, him, that's the guy. And you know what? A lot of people can't do it for whatever reason. Either they don't have the insight, they're not taught the right way, or they're looking for the wrong things in a guy. They don't understand. See, I'm pretty fussy. I like only the best. Okay. If it's sports, I want to win. The Boston Celtics won every year when I was a kid. We did it better than everybody else. From Bill Russell on down. Through Havlicek to Bird to Garnett, all the way through. I knew the Lakers were like that, but I hated their guts. I'm not a Laker fan. I always liked teams that I always saw the perfection in everything I've done. I like the best in everything. I like the best in food. I'm fussy. But in that fussiness comes perfection. And I understand all this. I get all of it. I'm not just a sports guy. You want to talk about something else? We can talk about anything. Politics, religion. I'll burn you. You guys think you're smart out there? Guess again. And you know what? You have to understand that, like, when you see somebody, there's a time when you got to throw those stats away and just look at the guy and go, this is an amazing player. This is the guy I want. I could run the Mets right now. They are a clown show. I'm a Met fan, so I can say it. You know what? I direct message all the time, the owner. I go, hire me now. This will all change. Their GM got in trouble. He got arrested last night in New York State, Rob. He was drinking. The whole place is a clown show. And they don't know talent. And they go, well, you got to do this. You know what? Even with the minorities. I mean, come on. How about we get the best players no matter who you are? I don't give a shit where you're born. Just get the best players and win a damn World Series. That's what I'm interested in. And you know what? But that's what I'm here for, to teach. And I'm telling you, like, LSU, are they good? Yeah. And if you win, hey, that's fine. I'll take the hit. But it's worth taking a hit if you guys learn something from it. I'll take that hit. Don't write me off like, oh, he's a dummy, because I'm only going to come back the next time and be right about something that you're sure you're right about, and you're going to look real stupid at the end, even if I'm not right this time. You know what I'm saying? And I know a lot about a lot. So, and you're right, Rob, that was a personal attack on me, calling me a dummy or whatever that guy did. It couldn't be further from the truth. One guy was saying, this is like one of those old, I forget what movie it was, but he was like, oh, just put me in and we'll win. And no, I'm just telling you what has to be done to win and what they should have done, because they would have won if they did it. Look, we've all second guessed moves with coaches and because they won't make mistakes. And looking back on it, we're like, if you didn't do that, they probably would have won. We've all been guilty of that. We've all said that at one time or another. So I don't want to hear that. You know, I mean, I really, honestly, you guys got me riled up. I really hope we take you out on Saturday. As a matter of fact, I may send this to UCLA and let the players watch it, because I could do that. I really can. And I got to tell you, the rest of the SEC is loving us, Rob, right now, because we're picking on LSU, and we're really not. We're just giving our opinion. But you know, but someday it could be your team that we're going, well, you're not that good anymore. I mean, Bama's great right now. Are they going to be great forever and ever? Probably not.
Well, Bob, you just touched upon something when you say that.
Right.
One of the we got criticized for bringing up the 90s in UCLA.
Right.
And the point that was being made, and what I said was, UCLA tends to be a cyclical program.
Right.
You know, kind of peaks, they reach peaks and they kind of dip into valleys sometimes. But that's kind of the nature of college football and sports in general. There is a cyclical nature to it. So just because you're at the top of the mountain now, that's no guarantee you're going to be there indefinitely. There was a time when football was king in the Northeast, not the Southeast.
Right.
It was born in New Jersey.
That's right. Princeton and Rutgers, the first game ever in New Jersey. But you know, look, honestly, and I got to tell you, some of these people that wrote in, okay, they're like, well, the greatest dynasties ever. Really? You really know sports? Well, what about the fact that Nebraska was a great dynasty at one time with Oklahoma in the 70s? SC was a great dynasty. Well, back then it was Pac-8 and then Pac-10, now Pac-12. What about, of course, Ohio State and Michigan have stayed there, okay? Notre Dame was great. They're good again after a while, but for years they were dominant. Army was dominant in the 40s, long before I was born. Nobody could beat those guys. Nobody.
3 straight years, 3 straight championships. A coach championship,
right.
One of them. Army was unstoppable.
That's exactly right. And that was a big deal. Navy was even had their years where they were good. I mean,
Roger Staubach.
That's right, Roger Staubach.
So you can dismiss the past all you want. It doesn't change the point that the cyclical nature of sports exists. And just because you're top dog now doesn't mean you're top dog tomorrow.
Right.
Now LSU has had, they've been a top dog for a long time, Bob, but they've made their dips too. They've had some rough spells as well.
Right, exactly. No one, I mean, even when you're good, like the Yankees don't win every year, almost every year, but not every year. I mean, even when they were great. Look, I will tell you this story. In the 1920s, the Yankees the owner bought all these players. They bought Ruth, they bought everybody in. They got Garrick. And in 1925, they did, and 24 and 25, actually, they did not win the pennant. It was the Washington Senators who had a great team. And so I still remember the old Babe Ruth movie. The owner went to Ruth and said, paying you guys a lot. Why didn't you win? You know what, coach? Sometimes you just don't, no matter how good you are. And then to top that off, in 1926, the year after, when the Yankees went back to the World Series, because they played the Cardinals in 26, lost to them with Grover Alexander on the mound in Game 7, striking out Tony Lazzari. And then in 27 and 8, they won it, but they were in it 3 years in a row. Somebody asked the Washington Senators player, one of their better players, how come you didn't beat the Yankees this year? You knocked them out the last two. You know what he said? He goes, well, put it this way. We scored 9 runs a game, but they scored 10. They scored 10. They're just good. But even as good as they were, they didn't win every year. Same thing with LSU. I don't think they're the dominant Yankees of the 1920s, but they're not going to win every single year, especially when you got a dominant team in your conference named Alabama. That's really, really hard to do.
And you're playing in the best conference in general.
and he's probably, him and Urban Meyer, the two best coaches on earth. They are. Not named Belichick. I don't want to vote because that's a pro coach though. But he's great too. But in college, at least, those two were the best maybe ever, or up there, because Saban's amazing, and let me tell you, Urban Meyer, he can win with an 8th grade team and go undefeated and run the table and win the trophy. He actually went. I guess one year he was Bowling Green, was it? And he was 20-0. He was 20-0. I mean, the guy, he's great. He's just great.
So, there you have it, folks. Don't dismiss the past. Be mindful of it. Understand that, yes, everything changes, and you never know what's going to happen next. And we don't know what's going to happen Saturday. As much as the banter that we've had back and forth with the commenters and the talk that Bob and I have had, we don't know what's going to happen. That being said, Bob, we got some more matchups to go over. We got Ohio State at Minnesota. Minnesota's better now. They're
better. Yeah, they are. They're much better. I still think Ohio State, though.
I agree. I think Ohio State will have little trouble with Minnesota. They are a superpower. Excuse me. The next big matchup I see. All right, going to the ACC. North Carolina and Virginia Tech. North Carolina at Virginia Tech. The Tar Heel fans are very high on Mac Brown. I think he will recruit well. They will do well, but they will not reach the peaks that Tar Heel Nation anticipates. He tends to drop some games where he shouldn't.
He's like a bunch of coaches that I've heard of and remember. Yeah, maybe Virginia.
I do so reluctantly. The Hokies and Syracuse, we're not the best of friends.
Right.
Okay, moving on. Stanford at Kansas State.
Ooh. I don't know what Kansas State, how good they are. I'm going to stick with my Pac-12. I'll go up. I don't really know how good K-State is this year coming in, but I'm going to go Stanford.
Go with Stanford. I'm going to go. How has Stanford been the last couple of years? I haven't followed them, but they've
been okay. They've been okay.
Tough. Kansas State at home. Tough pick. Well, since I'm boosting UCLA, I'll join the Pac-12 homerism. There's supposed to be a fomenting alliance that we'll get into this Big Ten, ACC, Pac-12 thing. So I'm going to go with Stanford.
Okay.
Oh boy, we got a major Big Ten matchup Saturday. Penn State at Wisconsin. Wisconsin's tough at home, even though they haven't been top tier lately.
Yeah, Wisconsin. They're at home. They'll win.
I like Wisconsin at home too. Franklin tends to drop. He recruits well, extremely well, but he has a penchant for dropping these type of games.
Right. Yeah,
okay.
I'm going Wisconsin.
Next, we have, let's see here, looking across the landscape, we have West Virginia at Maryland. I'm going to go West Virginia. I don't think Maryland has been down, although they did whip Syracuse a couple years ago. Ugh. But I think West Virginia will go in, take out Maryland. They've been towards the bottom of the Big Ten for a while.
Yeah, West Virginia. Close one though, because road's always.
Oh,
different.
On the road, I agree. Yeah, I think
right.
I think it's a. I wouldn't be surprised. It's not going to be any more than 10. Most likely one score game. You have Alabama and Miami at the neutral site. 18-point spread. We already made this pick, Bob.
Alabama,
easy breezy. They're going to cruise. Sorry, Canes fans. You should have never left the Orange Bowl. Let me tell you. Look what happened when you left the Orange Bowl. What have you done?
That's right.
And you should have never left the Big East. Although Syracuse wanted to leave the Big East too. But, yeah, Miami is not They've seen better. They've seen a lot better days back in the Orange Bowl than they have in the past 15 years.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're not the same team. And Alabama's just Alabama. I mean, are they going to lose at all is the question. Not if they're going to lose against Miami.
I'm not picking against them at all.
No, I'm not either.
I need to see it to believe it that they can be taken down.
Right. And like I told you, supposedly this is the best recruiting class in their team history. To me, if that's the truth, then they ain't losing, because that's saying something. That and you got to go some to get there. But I mean,
that would be. I mean, if I was actually going to put money down, it would definitely be that game. I think they'll easily cover the spread. I don't believe in the coaching staff at Miami. I don't think they're going to approach anywhere near the heights that they did in the past. Okay, we have another matchup here that's looking pretty good. We got Pittsburgh and at Tennessee. I'm going with Pitt. I'm going to be an ACC homer. Tennessee hasn't been good for a long time.
No, they really haven't. But they're home, and it's early in the season. I'm going to lean Tennessee that one.
Narduzzi just finds a way sometimes to eke out these wins, and I mean, they've been kind of high up on the Coastal, which is a weaker division in the ACC. I could see Pitt winning this game. They are one of the last three teams to beat Clemson in the regular season the past 5 years, and they just find a way sometimes. They get this kind of scrub reputation. Pitt's a tough out. They're not a pushover that they get made out to be.
Right. But the game's not home, so I'd seen them. I mean, I was in Pennsylvania the one day when the two teams played each other. Penn State and Pitt upset Penn State that year. Couple years back.
I actually jumped the gun there with that Pittsburgh matchup. That's actually the next week. So, you got our first week picks.
Yeah.
We also have, I'm sorry, I skipped over it by mistake, a matchup of Georgia and Clemson. How could we possibly
forget that?
Forget that. The mouse screwed me over here. Oh, boy. Yeah. Is this a neutral site game? This Georgia game? It is a neutral site game in Charlotte. So there's going to be there should be a good representation of both fan bases. I mean, Georgia's very popular. Clemson, unfortunately, is more popular than they used to be, and should be a split crowd, I'd say. They're a slow walk down the mountain. I don't think their quarterback is anywhere near as good as Trevor Lawrence. And Georgia just seems to be killer in the regular season. They just stumble at the end. They've been knocking on that door. I don't want to pick an SEC team over an ACC team, but I think Clemson is going to lose right off the bat.
Me too. I think Georgia. I'm leaning Georgia.
I think Georgia's going to win, and we'll see what happens. Neutral site game in Charlotte. And then it looks like
I got Georgia.
You got Georgia. I'm going with Georgia too. BYU at Arizona. I'm going BYU. I'm not sold on Arizona. And BYU was pretty good last year. Yes, they lost the quarterback, but BYU is a tough program, and Arizona is not a world beater.
No, but they don't have Zach Wilson anymore, right? I'm going to go Arizona. It'd be close, and BYU can throw the ball, so they're always good with that. I'm going Arizona.
You're going with Arizona. It's in the books.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. Only a few more marquee matchups left, or P5 matchups. Louisville at Mississippi. I have no idea if Louisville is going to turn around and be what they were with now his name escapes me. The coach. Who was the coach that left Louisville? He was previously at Louisville, then Western Kentucky, then back to Louisville.
Yeah.
The name escapes me, but I'm not sold on the new coach from the mid-major. I think he was App State's coach. I'm going to go with Ole Miss at home. It sucks.
Me too.
I'm going SEC 2-0 over Ole Miss, but Louisville was pretty put bad last year too, and on the road SEC. Who knows? Satterfield, the Louisville coach. I don't see Mississippi losing that game. It's unfortunate.
No, me either. I'm leading Mississippi.
So Notre Dame at Florida State.
Oh, Notre Dame.
Unfortunately, Notre Dame, I gotta go. It's 0-3 ACC picks here because Florida State has been abysmal, and Notre Dame is good.
Yep, they are.
I know it's a home game for Florida State, but
It
again,
doesn't matter. This
Florida
time it
State-
doesn't matter.
Florida State needs to prove they're coming back, and they haven't done so. So, sorry, ACC, forgive me. This upstate New York Syracuse homer is picking 3-0 against you.
Me too. I got Notre Dame. They're just better. This time the home field doesn't matter. I just think it's Notre Dame. They're going to beat them.
So there you have it with the picks, folks. We'll see what happens. Who knows? But Bob, what do we got going on next week here on the sports show?
Well, we're going up to Cooperstown and we're going to see Derek Jeter get inducted, and we're trying to get an exclusive interview with him, and we're going to have a lot of fun up there, and we're going to put on anybody who wants to come on because all the old timers are up there that are already in the Hall of Fame, and maybe we'll even get Ted Simmons, who also is getting inducted on, and we're going up live, so everybody watch. So it should be a lot of fun.
Absolutely, folks. So stay tuned. Yes, LSU fans, why don't you throw a like and subscribe? Why not? What the heck, right?
Yeah, just don't hate us. Subscribe because, today you hate us, but if we decide to go after somebody you hate, like Alabama, you're gonna be loving us tomorrow. So you might want to think about that. And we're just trying to put up a good show. So stick with us.
That's it. Check out the other videos. Check out our guests. We'll have more soon. The guests are coming. With that, folks, signing off for the sports show with Bob Spino. This is Rob. Take care, folks.
This is Bob. Have a nice day, everybody.